Nerds and geeks, can you dig it? Today on the legendary Nerd O Round Table, we celebrate 825 episodes with the Eternals and The Harder They Fall.
Woohoo!
Wow. It is hard to believe that 825 episodes ago, this was but a dream. And you get to 825 real quick when you post daily. That's true. Fact. People say, like, man, how'd y'all get to 825 so fast? I'm like, every day. Every single day.
That's not even 3 years, y'all.
No. For real. In the building, we got Thomas Talking Cunningham.
Hey, everybody. Oops.
It's all good. Anthony from Two Cubicles Down.
Oh, hello, everybody.
Ryan Twitch Master McBain.
Hello, everybody. What's going on?
Oh, Captain Sound Effects.
You gotta have the sound effects. Dr. Liz from the Freeway will be joining us soon. Mo Kelly is taking care of business. As I said, we have definitely got Eternals, which I promise you is going to be hot. If you thought I went crazy over No Time to Die and damn Shang-Chi, just wait, because Tom has been promising fire all day on all platforms. The Harder They Fall is coming. Best believe that. But while we are waiting for Dr. Liz, okay, something that is going down next week, Disney Plus Day. Next Friday, the 12th, Disney Plus Day, and they are teasing some amazing first looks at the new Obi-Wan series, The Mandalorian, also some behind the scenes of She-Hulk, of Miss Marvel, and I believe Moon Knight. They're saying they may have the first trailer for Moon Knight.
Okay.
Oscar Isaac's
some
been
pretty
busy.
big things coming that way, or our way. What's not happening, at least right now, is Black Panther. Okay, Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever, has been put on hold so your girl Shuri can recuperate and resuscitate and get herself right from her injury. That I'm a little salty about that. I think that you guys could definitely film around her, but whatever. Hey, I get it. She's got to be there. There was a death on the set of Indiana Jones 5.
Why are you laughing?
Well, don't get
I'm
too
just saying,
crazy.
like, this is
Don't
wild.
But Alec Baldwin wasn't involved.
He wasn't there.
Wow.
No, he wasn't there. He didn't show up for this one.
It was in the hotel room, is what the stories reported. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't. Nobody got shot or bit by a snake.
Alec Baldwin is that, you know, when the first thing came out, it was like all about, you know, the union guys weren't on set, and so they had this scab who was handling the material, and he passed it on to Alec Baldwin, and Alec Baldwin was told that it wasn't a live round, et cetera, et cetera. But then come to find out that Alec Baldwin is the producer, and so he actually was directly responsible for hiring the scab that handed the gun that ended up killing that person. So sorry, Alec. I mean, I've always been an Alec Baldwin fan. I love him from 30 Rock. I love him in a lot of the movies he's been. Beetlejuice, epic performance. Even in Notting Hill, he played a great jerk. But this was not clean.
This was not his finest moment.
It was not.
To me,
He didn't do it on purpose.
I know he didn't do it on purpose, but when you set up a production situation where instead of having authorized personnel who have been adequately and properly trained to handle firearms, and you bring in somebody who is less capable, then this is why you have a union that has people who have sufficient training. I mean,
and you also had someone who, for some reason or other, thought it would be a good idea to mix live rounds in with dummy rounds.
And why?
There's a lot of investigation into that. Why?
Just why?
Why? Because
Like
someone
even
was drunk, target practicing.
Thing,
why?
Right. The Brandon Lee thing wasn't even a live round. That
it was blanks.
You know,
it's just the gun was like, it's a bad gun.
Yeah, there was a thing and a projectile. And just like that guy who was in that Explorers TV series back in the 80s, who was playing around with a Russian roulette thing. And the whatever the thing was, it wasn't a live round, but it kind of like, you know, it broke something in his head and sent some bone fragments into his brain, and he died. So it's like, guys, nobody knows what a real gun looks like. Just always have fakeness. You can always
which is
just
why, like, The
have
Rock
that
has
shit in
said,
post.
fake from now on. Which
that
is
shit in
said
post.
fake from now on, which
Right.
is a
Yes.
big move. Like The Rock, who has
It
guns in
is.
almost everything he does. It doesn't matter if it's a kid movie; he's got guns in it. He's saying fake guns from now on. Not mad at that.
Well, I mean, The Rock buys his artillery where the Fast and Furious franchise buys their gas. So since they're all pretend, it doesn't really matter. He's just going ahead and get the movies together and get them out. Nobody's counting rounds on anything.
No,
these
they're
days.
not.
So, I mean, it is what it is.
Also in the news, Ryan Reynolds has given us a fantastic update on Deadpool 3. Well, really, to me, it's fantastic just because I'm a big Deadpool fan, but he's like, look, plugging away. I know there was a news of him retiring, but he's like, nah, I'm still doing this. Like, I may be retired from other stuff, but
Right.
Deadpool 3 still happening, plugging away. Can't really comment on that, but hopefully soon, though. I'm not mad.
Now you had a great laundry list of stuff for Disney Plus Day, but did I hear you skip over the Book of Boba Fett, or was that kind of under the aegis of
Well,
the
you know, because
Mandalorian?
the Book
I
of Boba
thought
Fett's
that was
already
gonna
out
be-
there.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Oh, so
Yeah.
this is you're talking about stuff that's a preview for first time eyes.
Yeah.
Because
Now I wonder why they dropped that early then.
I don't know.
You'd
Probably
think
for
they
the
would have
same
held
reason
on.
Well, it's for the same reason that Sony teased that Spider-Man trailer.
Well,
because
Book of
they
Boba Fett
said,
comes
you
up
know, we
next
just-
month, right?
29.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does.
So,
Yeah.
Now, look, Book of Boba Fett looks good. I don't know how to pronounce this young man's name, Gael Garcia Bernal.
Oh,
I'm gonna
Gael.
go with
Yeah,
that.
Gael Garcia Bernal. Yeah.
Oh, boom, thank you. He's been
Mhm.
cast as Marvel's Werewolf by Night, which is in production now, which will be debuting next Halloween. Yes,
Can I get a
Werewolf
little-
by Night, a Halloween
is-
special.
Is this to kind of tie in the Blade adjacent segments of the universe?
Is it live
Maybe.
action?
It's live action. Live
Okay.
action.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well,
Maybe
I mean,
they're starting-
It's live action.
They
Just
started
kind
to
of like
tease it.
Guardians of the Galaxy's holiday special.
right.
Disney's like, look, we have the ability to
to do whatever.
different things, to just do literally whatever. For me, when you say you're doing Werewolf by Night, there's also news that Jim Carrey has been cast as MODOK. Yes,
Oh,
MODOK in She-Hulk.
oh,
Yes.
Patton Oswalt did a great job on the Hulu show.
Oh yeah. But they
And he
can't
actually
bring
looks like MODOK.
that MODOK into the MCU.
Well, no, but I'm saying when you look at Patton Oswalt, basically he is a gigantic distended head on a small body. So
That
it's
figure
kind
of
of
his.
easy. Jim Carrey, he's so thin and angular. I don't see his face scooching out into a big square thing with dangly arms. But that
Maybe I'm thinking that's going to be CGI if they're doing live action.
Well, sure, yeah. Boy, you're talking about shitty CGI. You're pressing my buttons that we can't start talking about this film yet because we're waiting on Liz.
Hey, look, save that. We are waiting. Dr. Liz will be here soon. Morbius.
Yep, sure.
Morbius dropped a new
Morbius.
trailer
Why
this
not?
week, which
Yeah.
said, to me that Sony's at it again, and they still don't know what they're doing.
Listen, I didn't hate it nearly as much as you did. I thought that, well, first of all, Jared Leto is better cast. I think just off rip, he looks a lot more Morbius-y. And I don't think that what we have seen from it was worsening to the previous trailer. The previous trailer was what the previous trailer was, and now basically what we got was vampire effects of him actually looking like Morbius, and
the look is right. I'm
The
not.
look
I'm
is
not.
right.
It's a good look.
The
It is a
special
good
effects,
look.
the practical effects on his face and all that, fine. Him flying through the subway, him, lifting up coffins, and to me, the simplified way that they're going about this discovery of power. Once again, they're treading over the same story that they gave us in Venom. It's a corporate, entity that wants to harvest the Morbius power and the Morbius blood, and it's a friend of his who then gets infected and becomes, another vampire by day or whatever the fuck, and then Morbius has to stop him because he's the only one who can in this vampire versus vampire, which essentially adds up to fuck out of here, man. That's not a good movie.
Yeah,
I think
my
my
main
biggest-
issue is this. Like, I'm sick and tired of Sony making these villains anti-heroes.
Yeah,
Stop doing
there's
that shit.
Well-
There's nothing wrong with making them be a villain first, and then eventually down the road, because of writing a story, nice little story arc, then they become anti-heroes. But why just rush to the end? Just stop doing that shit.
Well, because the problem is that you don't have Spider-Man to hang your hat on. So you don't have an actual hero against which to put a villain. So you invent this bullshit corporate villain, just like they did in Venom, just like they did in what's that crappy movie that Vin Diesel did, the blood thing with the
that was
Dead
circle on his
Bloodsport.
yeah,
Not
Bloodsport.
Bloodsport.
Wait,
That's
no,
not Bloodsport.
Bloodsport's that's Suicide Squad.
No, Bloodshot.
Bloodshot.
Bloodshot?
No, it's not Bloodshot either.
No, 'cause
It's not Bloodshot. Are you sure?
No, it's one of those.
Hold
It wasn't a mainstream. I think DC eventually.
Yes, it's
bought it.
Bloodshot. It's
Bloodshot.
Bloodshot. That is the name of the
Okay.
character. Yes.
Okay,
He's
it
from
was-
Valiant
it was
Entertainment.
Valiant,
Yes.
that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was trash. But again, a corporate person. Again, with the old guard, another corporate douchebag trying to take advantage of the properties of whatever. So you have this very generic person, but the only reason Sony even has Morbius is because he's tangentially affiliated with the Spider-Verse. And so
Right.
you have these people, and instead of actually going after the real Sinister Six, you're just kludging together people that you have access to and inventing what you hope will be a marketable Sinister Six film. But you've already built everybody so far as kind of a good guy. So how are you the Sinister Six going against Spider-Man when basically you've only been good?
Maybe once your boy comes through as Kraven the Hunter, they'll have a reason to be villainous. Maybe he inspires them. Your boy Quicksilver. What's my man?
Are they really gonna do that?
Aaron
Aaron
Taylor.
Rod Johnson.
God, I hope they change
Yeah.
their mind.
Yeah,
No.
he's
Wait,
great.
Aaron Taylor John. Oh, quick MCU Quicksilver.
MCU
is-
Quicksilver. Yeah.
He doesn't even look like Kraven though.
Well, they say he's going to be Kraven.
Then he
So
bulked
there it
up
is. He's
in,
already cast. I mean,
Godzilla.
he's already cast.
He was bulked up in Godzilla.
Yeah, so I guess
But,
Quicksilver ain't never coming back then, apparently.
No.
No,
No,
more
but
Quicksilver.
oh gosh, I can't even say the character's name because we can't talk about Eternals yet.
Look, I just couldn't believe
yeah,
Tyrese was
look.
in Morbius. That's what pissed me off.
That part. How did you sit on Tyrese for 2 years?
Because maybe Tyrese wasn't going to originally be a part of it. You know, they did a lot of reshoots.
Oh, did they? Is that what it is?
Yeah. They did
That
a lot
turned
of
me off.
reshoots.
I mean, believe it or not, that turned me off the film seeing him in it. Just-
I was about to say
Really?
I don't need family in my vampire movie.
Got
It's
plenty
not
of that.
about blood. It's about
It's
family.
about family.
Family's thicker than blood.
He's bulked up though in that movie though. He looks a little thicker.
We in outer space, y'all, with bats,
With vampires and shit.
vampire bats.
When I saw that trailer, I was all right.
Yeah, that was when I saw Tyrese, I was like, so you're in this? Why?
I
And
was
he's not necessarily like a real significant character. So there's not like there's a future per se for Tyrese's character. I mean, his character in the comic books, when I looked it up, I was like, who are you playing? And I'm like, oh man, he had some interactions and some meetings with Black Widow at one point in time, but because that's not going to be connected, it's like you're an FBI agent who is investigating weird stuff. Yeah, I don't know about
So
that.
my question is this in the MCU or is it in the Sony universe? Like what
It's in
universe?
it's in the SSMU. Wait, the Sony
Because we see Spider-Man-
Spider-Man universe.
Because we see a Spider-Man poster in the background. So it's not in
Yes.
the MCU, or is it where Venom is?
It's where Venom is, which is why he said, I
I
am
am Venom."
Venom. Sorry. No, I'm just playing. It's
So
Dr.
why is there a
Michael Morbius.
Okay, so why is there a Spider-Man poster in the background? One of the scenes.
Now, Ryan, can you explain to me why there is, if Morbius is aware of Venom and they actually name drop what happened in San Francisco in
Yes,
this trailer,
They did.
Mhm.
but Spider-Man exists in the same city that Morbius is walking around, but we're supposed to believe that Venom's first time seeing him was, as we saw in the end of Maximum Carnage or whatever the fuck, that was his first time seeing him. I don't know. It's very weird.
I think it's
very,
an added
very
scene
weird.
just to throw us off. That's what I think it
Yeah.
is.
I don't
But
think
also,
Sony's that
when you
clever.
think about the Vulture, who is from the MCU
Yeah.
Spider-Man film. So when is this happening? Because I mean, it looks like it's happening at a point in time when the Vulture is being taken to prison you know, and I guess they're meeting. Maybe he's walking into the prison. He's walking out. He's like, hey, Dr. Morbius, look me up sometime. And it's like, when,
how does he know
when is
him?
any of this happening?
Maybe
When
it's-
does it happen?
How does
maybe
he
it
know
takes
him?
place after Spider-Man 3 Far From Home, maybe.
I think it takes place
Maybe.
after the snap. I think-
Possibly, but we were just saying, like, how is Venom? I mean, how is Vulture look like he's being arrested and taken to prison, and you see Michael Morbius, you know, walking around, you know? So it's like that happened at the end of Spider-Man Homecoming. The
but
arrest.
he could be in prison. It could be like a prisoner transfer. There are any number of
Oh,
reasons
okay.
why maybe
Hey,
he
sure.
could be
Let's
moved
go with that.
around. Because, I mean, Far From Home, or not Far From Home, Homecoming was set right after Civil War, right?
Mhm. Yep.
Yes.
Right after.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
so
yes.
that's because there was overlap.
Yeah.
So
That's pre-snap.
really far in the past.
Yep.
So I think it's got to be rolling with that Michael Keaton was just in prison because we didn't even fully develop the whole bullshit with Scorpion and whether or not Scorpion was going to turn into anything. So I just don't know what we are to expect.
You know
out
But
what?
there's a
of this
there's a
sort of
problem with that
development
though,
other
because
than their
the
TV
poster
show.
on
Here
the
we go.
side says Spider-Man Murderer.
Okay.
So
So,
that's
that could
you
be
think
after
it's- You think it's
Mysterio.
after Far From Home?
From home.
It's got to be
I
a
think-
Mysterio reference.
okay, I think maybe he's out of jail because that's like 5 years later, right? It's after the
Nah,
snap.
he's doing way more time than 5 years.
I don't know.
Yeah, for what he did.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
way
he
more
was
than a
stealing.
nickel.
He was stealing government property. He was stealing
killed
forbidden
people.
alien technology.
He did-
killed
yeah,
kill
people.
he did kill
Oh,
He killed
people.
people.
He fucking
Killed people.
Didn't he like bring that plane down? The
Yeah.
Stark plane.
Yes, he
and-
did.
Cut the boat
Yes,
in
he
half.
did.
Yeah,
you're right,
he-
you're right, you're right.
Yeah, fuck yeah, yeah. He was
FBI
doing a boat.
agents died in that fight on the boat.
Oh yeah, no.
So he's not just getting out.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right.
He's not doing a quick 3 to
just
5.
weird because you have Morbius who is aware of Venom, yet a Venom who's not aware of Spider-Man, who is obviously existing in the Morbius universe, which again goes to Sony has no business being in the Marvel universe, period. They need to just
Right.
go on and give everything over instead of trying to like create next year's Halloween theme, which is, you know,
Yeah,
I mean, and
it's-
again, tell me a successful superhero movie that's dropped in January. Tell me any studio who's back to film that's dropped. Tell me any hit films that drop in January. That's
know what?
where films go to die.
Maybe
That's
it's a
where they go to-
difference.
Black Panther
maybe,
is like one of the first successful February releases for a
Well,
superhero film.
that marketing was
Mm.
very particular to the constituency that they were
maybe
marketing
okay,
to.
my other guess is like that Spider-Man in the poster is a different Spider-Man. That's
Well,
my other.
supposedly that poster is a Sam
Oh.
Raimi Spider-Man.
Okay.
So maybe it's Tobey Maguire. I don't know.
It-
I mean,
That's
we could
what-
probably we could probably still shot that, but that doesn't even make sense because by the time we got into this expanded roster of characters, we were already into Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man.
True.
Why would you have?
Yeah.
Why would you have Morbius?
he wouldn't be called a
as
murderer.
Toby adjacent, right? Because he ended his career in at least in the movies as a big hero.
Yeah.
with the whole
Like a
Sandman
little boy
thing
was
and-
like, get him Spider-Man fighting Rhino, which was
right.
horrible.
And
but
now
yeah.
they have actually fully teased, thanks to I think Entertainment Weekly, all of the villains. I think it's 4 of the Sinister Six
Mhm.
that are officially in No Way Home. And the
Yeah.
ham-handed bullshit of throwing Venom into that planet, or that version of the universe. I mean, I guess technically we can now expect Venom to show up, I guess. But again, it just doesn't make any sense. It's a very Snydery DCEU vision of what the universe is, because it's like we really don't care. We own Venom, we own Spider-Man, and so Spider-Man's the big dog. Spider-Man's the next Iron Man. So this is where the MCU's got to focus its attention. And so we're going to leverage it. And so we don't care that it doesn't make any sense because Venom didn't have any relationship to Spider-Man. He's just going to hate Spider-Man because
He's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Just 'cause,
Reasons.
you
Haters
know.
Yeah.
gonna hate.
I get the feeling that like Marvel's was kind of forced into doing this.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
They can't be happy.
There's no
about
way
it
they
because
did
Venom
this
is shit.
willingly. No
No.
way. No way they
no
went
way.
into this like, this is a good idea.
No,
No.
hell no.
Mm. No. You know what? And we glossed over it, but what did y'all think of the Book of Boba Fett trailer?
Oh, it was hot.
Oh, it's
Oh,
fire.
amazing.
Yeah, it was great.
It's fucking fire.
Abs-
If you think he's going to be one of those malevolent rulers, oh, you are fucking mistaken.
Yeah,
He's
he
going-
seemed
he's
like
gonna-
he was stern but fair, but like, don't
Oh.
fuck with me.
Yeah, he's going to go on
I
some.
love it,
he's
Stern
going
but fair.
to lay down the hammer on some of these.
Yeah.
These
so,
people.
So do we know when is this set kind of like how the Mandalorian was set, like in the middle of mainstream Star Wars?
Yeah, so it takes
continuity,
place
or
like
is it-
7 years after Return of the
yeah.
Jedi.
So yeah, so if it's on the
Yeah.
same,
Yeah.
if it's on the same timeline. It's
Yeah.
after Mandalorian season 2 ended,
2, yes.
which is about 5 or 6 years after the Battle of Endor.
yeah.
So how did he escape the Sarlacc?
The Sarlacc
Well,
pit. I think we'll
they
find
didn't
that
show
out.
that.
You know,
They didn't
he-
show
he
that,
didn't-
but
they
he
didn't
escaped.
explain it. Even when he
You see
came
him
back,
getting
they
out, but they
we
don't
just knew
ex-
that he didn't
yeah.
want to be he didn't want to wear the armor anymore. He was like,
In the
"Look,
books-
I'm a nomad."
Okay,
Done.
in the books,
okay.
he used like his jetpack to escape in the books.
Right.
But yeah, this takes place around 7 years after Return of the Jedi, and before that piece of shit, The Last Jedi. So
Okay,
way
there we
before
go.
then.
Well,
yeah,
no,
so
isn't-
I wanted to
isn't-
get that in there. So thank you.
Isn't Return of the Jedi and the Force Awakens? That's 20-year gap.
30 years.
Is it a 30-year gap?
Yeah, 30 years.
So we still got some time before. I think Luke's just starting to lay the foundation for the Jedi Temple, or the new Jedi Temple.
Council. yeah.
So are you
Kinda, yeah.
saying that you think Mark Hamill is going to appear as Luke in this?
Not
Is
He
that
does.
been
this.
teased?
I wouldn't
he
say
does.
in this. In Book of.
Well, I know he
Boba
was in the
Fett?
last-
No,
I
no,
know
I'm
he was
talking
in the end
no,
of
no,
The
not
Mandalorian.
this,
I'm
but
saying-
in Mandalorian season 3, he does.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also with now it is official that Hayden Christensen is returning as Darth Vader. in
Darth Vader,
Obi-Wan
yeah.
Fuck
So,
on.
like,
and the
Is it gonna be a
Ahsoka series.
flashback? Is it gonna be a flashback? Or
Yeah,
what?
well, with the
It's gotta
Ahsoka
be a
series,
flashback.
it's both. With the Ahsoka series, it's what led to their division and him hunting her based on the last interaction that they had at the end of the
Well, it's
Rebel
like-
series.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Because
hold on.
at
When
the-
you
at
say
the-
when you
At the
say
end of
their
Rebels,
last
they fought,
interaction,
and now he knows that she's alive. She's
Okay.
hunting for Ezra, and Ezra is off, in another universe or wherever the fuck he's at with Moff Tarkin. And so
With
she's
Thrawn.
trying to find Tarkin.
No,
she's trying to find
no,
Ezra.
no,
Vader's
because
hunting her.
this takes place when Obi-Wan was on Tatooine. This isn't when Ahsoka was older in the Mandalorian. This is like a prequel when Obi-Wan was still hanging out, pissed off on Tatooine.
The
This is when
Ahsoka
this
series?
takes place.
the
Now the
series?
Ahsoka series takes
No,
place
because,
after
no,
Mandalorian.
I'm talking about the Ahsoka series. Yes, I'm talking about the Ahsoka series will be flashbacks between Anakin
Yeah.
and their relationship and Vader hunting her.
Mhm. But,
Obi-Wan is after the end of whatever, after the end of Order 66, and Obi-Wan is
Yeah.
supposedly
Yeah.
galaxy hopping, trying to stay ahead of
Trying to
Vader,
stay
while
alive,
Vader is
right.
like, I'm going to hunt that dude down and chop his legs off.
Well,
Let-
he's still, I
you know.
think he's basically hanging out in Tatooine, right? I mean, at the
Supposedly,
end of,
Obi-Wan
wonder-
went a few places before he got to Tatooine. He went a few places. He was out there because even when he fought, by the time he got to Tatooine is when he finally had that last duel with Darth Maul.
Ye-
And if you
Well,
got to go deep into
well,
Clone Wars
Well,
when he
well,
finally got there.
no, because if you remember, like at the end of episode 3, he delivers Luke as a baby to Owen on Tatooine.
Owen and
So,
Peru.
Mhm.
so he was already on Tatooine. Now he might have left and came back, but he's been there. That's his home.
But wait a minute, Ryan. I wonder if you mean old Ben Kenobi.
That's not a name I've heard in a long time.
What would have thrown anybody off of changing his first name? But
First-
everybody
first
refers to him
name.
as Ben Kenobi.
You know,
Because he's
I
a crazy
remember
old dude.
I remember old Tyrone Kenobi. You remember them Kenobis
I won't.
that was down around Tatooine and I thought
Tatooine?
that- Tatooine.
Tatooine.
And it was Tyrone and it was Ben and it was Obi-Wan. Oh, you remember Obi-Wan? How is that? That's like that Shang-Chi. You changed your name from Shang-Chi to Sean?
To Sean.
Hiding in plain sight. Hiding
Hiding
in
in
plain sight.
plain sight, I guess.
Well, Sandus
Against
These
the
are not
most
the-
powerful Sith Lord in the world.
These are not the Kenobis you're looking for.
Looks that he hates sand and it's quite porous, and that's what keeps him away. What is it? It's like light to vampires.
Well,
just sprinkle sand around you.
if you
That's
think
where he lost
about
his
it,
mom. So
I'll say, think about if you go to a place where someone killed your mom, that may not be the first place you want to go. You may be like, nah, he
guess.
couldn't be so disrespectful as to be on the planet where I lost my mind, killed damn near all the Tusken Raiders.
They took me away from my
can't
mother.
go there.
Well, but they do have fire concerts, according to Star Wars Vision. So there's that.
Jesus
That's not
Christ.
canon. That's not canon.
You have
Star
the
Wars Visions
baby
is not canon.
is playing for Jabba, and the pods
Boba and all
going
those guys
around.
are there.
Yeah, all
Not
of them.
canon.
It's
Not
a
my
whole
Star
thing.
Wars. No,
Thankfully, it's not canon. And I don't know where Dr. Liz is. Hopefully, she'll be joining
here we
us
go.
Can we
soon,
do this
but
now? Can we do? We've been on 30
look,
minutes. Can we do this
look,
now?
we have got to get to this. I
Thank
will
you.
start quickly and say that I absolutely dug Chloe Zhano's presentation. I dug her story. I dug how she dug deep into the mythos of the Eternals. Tom, you're making a face, but when you read back on the Eternal story and everything that she picked through and said, you know what, I've got to include that. That's key. Got to include that. That's key. Everything that's in this story is pulled exactly out of their mythos.
Okay.
I can dig that it's not the big superhero big zip bang boom that everyone may have wanted, but this was Marvel's first attempt at a drama, and I for me personally, she delivered. Now,
okay.
Now, look, I want to save Ryan because none of us have heard what Ryan has had to say. And Tom, look, before we get to you, Anthony, what were your thoughts on the Eternals?
Look, you had great casting. Angelina Jolie looks
I don't
fire.
disagree.
Honestly, their dynamic between all the Eternals was great. You could not have asked for a better casting. I think they hit the nail on the head on that one. And that's where it drops off from there. I'm sitting there, I'm watching it. I'm like, all right, so we're going on a scavenger hunt to pick everybody up, where everybody so coincidentally knows where they all live still. Like nobody moved in 7,000 years. Old Thea and what's his name were down there in Australia in the outback,
chilling, yeah,
and just kicking it. Homeboy was over there in Chicago, just him and his partner and kid hanging out, and nobody said anything. Sprite knew exactly where Xerxes was. Everybody knew where Ajax was, and Icarus is just flying around doing his thing, and what's his name, Druig is just hanging out in South America with him and his old yeah.
Look, he wanted to stay with his people.
And Makari was running around because she couldn't hear anybody call her name.
Yeah,
she was
hanging out in the spaceship
stealing shit.
I think it'd be kind of boring if they just
Makari
had a side plot about them trying to find who they were, like clues and stuff like that. I think that'd been kind of boring.
And I mean, look, the Makari that they introduced us to is the last iteration of Makari from the comics, who had lost his mind after fucking with the sleeping celestial and changed his sex. Said, I don't want to be a dude anymore. I'm coming back. Lost his mind. Couldn't hear or talk. Damn near. Couldn't talk and couldn't hear. Yeah.
If you're making a supreme being that is an eternal.
But again, the supreme beings and the notion that the Eternals, like even Makari, and I get that you would say, like, how would you lose your hearing? But also, why did the Eternals make Sprite eternally young? That's canon. That's not something that they made up for the movie. That was like maybe the fucked up mentality of
the Celestials.
The main dude.
Are you gonna let Ryan say what he's gonna say?
No. I want to save Ryan because
so you want to come to me? Okay, good. All right. So can we?
Yes.
Okay.
Fire.
Have at it.
So here's my problem. Well, it's a litany. So I buy that for some reason, Makari is deaf and mute, because from jump, it wasn't like after centuries and millennia being on the planet, he changed sex and then was damaged. This Makkari was deaf mute from jump. They were using hand signs. And at first I thought, oh, well, this is just their alien language that they're using because they don't have human speech. So they're just doing combat symbols like they invented in Dune. And I was like, okay, oh, but that really looks like American Sign Language, which in Babylon doesn't make a lot of sense. But okay, you have a person in Ajak who can heal anything. You introduce her as a person who can heal anything, mortal wounds. And she can't make Makkari not deaf? What are we supposed to understand about how these rules work? And then one of the things that only became evident because you talked about what Chloe Zhao pulled right out of the comic books. Her opening title crawl was predicated on a lie. It was a misstatement of the Eternals' origin. Saying that they were culled from the planet Olympia and the deviant blah, 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 blah. That was just a lie. It was purposeful misdirection, which did not serve the interest of the story. And then by the time we get to what the Eternals actually are, the Eternals are robot people with no autonomy who are clones, who get their memories and minds erased. And here's my problem with that, because you don't find that out until 2/3 into the movie. But the consequence of that choice, of her doing that, especially when you introduce Eros as Thanos' brother, is that Thanos all of a sudden doesn't actually have any agency. Thanos is a robot that the Celestials created. And Thanos is a robot that the Celestials created who could not evolve, even though we see that Circe evolves. But in addition to that, also, Thanos is a deviant hybrid. So how could Ajak say that they were forbidden from fighting Thanos when not only was he part deviant, which should have obviated the whole non-exclusion entanglement issue, he was also killing half the universe, which was in direct contradiction with what Erisham wanted. Because if half the universe dies, none of the celestial seeds can become emerged.
They were protecting. Yes,
she specifically said that the emergence would have happened earlier if he hadn't snapped
on planet Earth.
But he killed the population.
They were just planting the seeds on Earth to get Titanus or whatever born. Well, that's what they wanted born. However you pronounce the name.
If the Eternals were created by Erisham as their perfect being, how were they able to go against what they were programmed to do?
I mean, there's a whole bunch of leaps there where you go into. Again, she bridged a whole lot of concepts that are in the comic book. When you go into how they all get into the hive mind and become this super powerful universal being, and that was one of the things that they actually did when the Eternals split. There were two different sects of Eternals, and one they went off and they said, "Hey, we're gonna go on and do our own thing," and it was the folks who were Thanos's parents, and then the ones who came to Earth and were like, we're going to become, the Titans, we're going to mix with the gods, and we're going to hide in plain sight, and then, oh, hey, we're going to come to Earth and we're going to present ourselves as the gods. She was making a whole lot of leaps and bounds. That, for me, one of the biggest flaws for this is she relied too much on fan knowledge, and not everyone is going to go super deep into the litany of stories that she was merging and abridging and throwing together. So all of the stuff that she presented is stuff that happened along the way. It's hard to put that into a 2 hour and 30-minute movie. I get that.
Well, but here's the bigger challenge though, Twala. It's really hard to do that with source material like Dune too. But Dune is actually beloved. Nobody gives a fuck about the Eternals. It's like when you introduce Guardians of the Galaxy and nobody knows who the fucking Guardians of the Galaxies are, you give a simple story where you intro these characters, you make them likable, you give them some sort of background connection. Rocket and Groot are built in. Drax is the family. You know, there's all these different things going on. So you care because you have a linear story. Here, Zhao is time hopping. You have Cersei telling Dane that she and Icarus had been together for 5 millennia until he jumped, but then you show that they didn't actually hook up until 500 BC. So they were on Earth from 5,000, but he didn't even approach her until 500 BC when they went into that flashback, and then 5 seconds later they were having MCU.
They were having
sex, and then
their memory
5
was
minutes
wiped,
after that,
wasn't it?
Yeah.
No, they don't get their
never
memory
wiped.
wiped when they're on one planet. They only get their memory wiped after the planet is destroyed. So Ajak had never had her memory wiped.
She remembered it all.
Millions of years of doing this over and over again. But
Ajak is the prime.
She's the supreme.
She's the supreme one, the one who keeps all the knowledge. It was only on planet Earth, similar to Silver Surfer. When he came to planet Earth, Silver Surfer been going around destroying planets left and right. When he got to Earth, he said special. Earth was deemed different. These are huge leaps in inner knowledge. But that is what happened with this same storyline. And the one person that she said, "Hey, my right hand, Icarus, you are the strongest. You are the one. You're the man. I'm going to bring you in on this secret. I'm going to let you know what I now know and why I want to protect this planet. Can I rely on you?" Yeah, sure, I got you. Then he's like, "You know what? Nah, fuck that."
Okay. So let me jump right back into this other thing, because we still haven't heard from Ryan, and I definitely want to. How is the Supreme Eternal the best, most enduring, heal yourself eternal, the one who got killed by a deviant who had not yet really transformed? Like, how did that deviant even get the powers to siler off Eternal's powers? All of a sudden, he was just a regular deviant. And what's his name pushed her off the cliff, and she does the hero land, just like Yelena Belova said. She turns around, and all of a sudden she's getting her superpower when she's the supreme prime eternal of whatever. Just this random ass deviant who has been frozen is all of a sudden sucking her power juice out and killing her in like 2 seconds.
They kind of explain that
he's not supposed to be just a random deviant.
Yeah,
he's not.
But go ahead, say it, Ryan. Go ahead.
No, they explained it earlier on. A Celestial says that when he was making the deviants, he made a mistake and they evolved. This is
I got that.
This is one of the deviants that evolved. This deviant was special. That's why he was able to do that.
But see, here's my thing. He invented the deviants and was deploying the deviants on other planets. By the time he got to Earth, he had already made the Eternals. So he wasn't making any more deviants at that point. So why and how did the deviants even get on Earth? See, that's another departure from the mythology that was disturbing to me. What the original Kirby adjacent mythology is that the Eternals, they're a perfect group that are supposed to shepherd in the such and such, and then the deviants are the bad ones, and they're in this constant locked battle, and then there were the regular humans that they created, and these were supposed to be the best, and these were supposed to be the worst, and and it was very Earth focused because, I mean, obviously it's the 60s, so you're going to do Earth. But when Zhao made the choices that she made, it was just incomprehensible to me. And you didn't even get... Did anybody believe that Icarus and Cersei had chemistry?
I thought so.
I thought that he was digging her. I thought he was digging her, and I thought she was in love with him, but I thought he was more like, "Look, I'm a soldier. This is good. I'm digging you. I love the sex that we're having." But
he loved her, but he felt guilty because he knew he was doing some shady shit.
I couldn't wait for Robb Stark to die. If they could have Red Weddinged his ass, I would have been perfectly happy. I did not see it. I saw her chemistry with Kit Harington. And maybe part of it was because, dear God, man, can you get a dialect coach so you don't sound like a friggin' Sean Connery knockoff or whatever with that thick.
I thought their accents were pretty good. I thought their accents were pretty good. But how are they keeping their accents for 7,000 years? That's the part that I didn't like.
This is my thing. You're in Mesopotamia. You're learning languages. It took fucking Madonna 2 years in England to start talking with a bullshit ass
Yes.
fake English accent.
Yes.
You're,
Now, look,
you're 500
okay,
years in Babylon and you don't start to sound Babylonian, bitch. What the
but
entire
now
fuck?
Or learn the language.
Eternals, these are the ones who gave folks English language. They gave people language. They gave folks, you know, tools and this, that, and the other. As you know, Tom, the Eternals were constantly behind the scenes, just letting
pushing
folks
things.
into
giving-
knowledge. They were constantly improving the knowledge, bringing folks in. And speaking of bringing folks in, Dr. Liz is in the building. What is crack-a-lackin', Dr. Liz?
Hi, sorry guys, I'm so late.
Nah, it's all good. Look, we're just into
You're
the
just like
thick of
Cersei.
it.
It's okay.
That's fine. Hey, did I miss it? Ryan, did you like the movie?
We're about to get to him.
We're about to get to
Let
Ryan.
him go on ahead and do it.
Right now we're in Cunningham's breakdown. I wanted to get yours too because I want to save Ryan's.
Oh my god!
take on this. So go on, Tom. Go on. You were saying.
My whole point, and I called Ryan last night before he had seen the movie, and I put this comment in the thread as well. They midi-chlorian Thanos.
Mm-hmm.
You don't turn Thanos, who was beset with the idea of murdering half the universe, and turn him into a robot who basically couldn't fight against his masters. And you might say, oh, because he had some mixed deviant heritage, which we haven't really broached or explained in the MCU. You might say, oh, he had the ability to evolve. But in Zhao's version of the deviants, they didn't have sentient intelligence. They were basically just beasts who eventually could evolve. And all the intelligence that the super deviant got, he got from absorbing intellect and memories from Eternals. So
right.
I didn't care about anybody. I told you guys almost 2 years ago when I read or pre-pandemic when I read the Reddit thread that there was a Reddit thread out there that supposedly had major plot points. And it turns out the biggest plot points that were in that thread actually were true. And so I walked into it with the expectation that the person who ends up being, you know, kind of the minor bad, if not the big bad, I already knew about that betrayal. And so it wasn't a surprise. I thought it was completely telegraphed. From the very first moment he said, I am Icarus, I was like, oh, see, so this robotic motherfucker, he
well, I mean, and it's when you look at how they're introducing these characters into the MCU writ large, like all of the characters that they bring in, when you look at the creation of the Eternals, when you look at the fact that the Eternals continuously die and they are reborn in the chamber, their memories are wiped and they come back even after being on Earth. So the idea of making them these sentient, you know, godlike humanoid things, how else are you going to go through the deep layers of explaining how they actually do it in the comics? Because that is kind of how they do it. When they get to creating Titans, and the Titans say, you know, you have one Titan who's like, you know, we don't need any more Eternals. You had another one who was like, well, we need to keep on making Eternals. And then it's like that's way too much for her credit. And again, this was one of those stories that chances are is why Ava DuVernay is not doing the New Gods, because DC probably looked at it and said, nah, man, there's too much story to tell. It's too much story to put into a movie.
It is
one of the reasons why they should not have done Watchmen. But when you see the Watchmen series, you go, yeah, you guys should have done this in the first place. There are some stories that are too big for film. For me, you know, I went into it because, you know, I was into the who was it? John Romita, when he did the Eternals, the little limited series. I think it was John Romita Jr. Who did that one. Because I think it was him. I'm trying to think who it was that did that art that I really love. But there was a limited series. So I said, you know what? Before I go into this movie, I'm going to Google the shit out of this story and just see what it is that Chloe Zhao could possibly be doing. I give her mad credit for saying, you know what? I'm going to take as much time as possible and really try to dig into this shit.
Our viewer down there, I
saw that.
Agreed.
Nobody cares about any of them. They could all die.
The thing is, they can all die and they can be brought back just like that.
Because we saw it was just like in AI. There was a million of them.
Yeah.
And you know, you literally saw Phastos. And I'm sorry, I thought Gilgamesh was a pretty horrible actor. he wasn't great. I mean, he punched, but he didn't deliver his lines well. And the last thing I will say,
this is his first English film.
Well, but okay.
Oh,
and when you're 7,000 years old, maybe everybody else is speaking English around you. Maybe
cook and make
and punch beer. Exactly.
And be a baby.
Can I just this is the last thing I have to say about this movie, because I'm gonna let Liz and Ryan do their thing. Kumail Nanjiani, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's supposed to be Bollywood's biggest star because he has been a Bollywood star across several generations, from his great-great-grandfather, who he was impersonating, all the way up to today. Why is he the worst dancer in his Bollywood films?
Because he's
you have 7,000 years. You have the 7,000 years,
and
of
he's been doing those same steps.
He's been doing those same moves, and he was stiff as hell and looked ridiculous.
Yeah,
he's been doing
ridiculous. And
again, he's been doing it as his grandfather.
His first Bollywood dance film.
Yeah, I understand, but you don't cast a person who can't
there are some leaps that you just have to just go. To me, there are a lot of stiff comedic moments. You know, the film is far from without flaws, but you guys were raking this across the film across the coals like it was like hot crabs.
You know what? You go on ahead. You can have it. Yeah, you take it, Liz, and then Ryan. I'll be back. I need to step out for a second.
It was not good. Now, it wasn't the worst thing that we've seen. So we've seen worse. But in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's the worst. And there's so many issues with this. So, like, first off, I wish Mo was here, because I think when I first joined you all, I had this long discussion with Mo about there's two things that has never done well on film. One, the gods, and two, knights. None of them have been excellent. And you can cherry pick some of those. And the way that so I got really caught up in some of the small details. So I'll admit, I hated the fact that when they were, trying to deal with Athena, and I was like, well, that's not correct. Like, she was not the god of war, the god of reason. And I can get into and there are times where she's depicted in history as the person who fights, and she's Ares, the closest relative to Ares. I get all that. But it was like, it made me feel that this director clearly had an idea that is the same thing that I criticize all the other DC films. This didn't fit. You could have made this fit with the earthquake, right? Because remember in Avengers Endgame, it was the earthquake, right? And so you could have fit this really nicely there, but we know it doesn't fit because Iron Man's dead in this film. So therefore, we know that this earthquake thing, is something completely unrelated to the other earthquake. And then you had then you're trying to kind of make, maybe you're trying to make Avengers responsible for this coming back because
Time Stone.
Liz is frozen.
She frozen.
With Liz, are you almost back?
Time Stone.
Oh man, this is cold, Dr. Liz. I wanted to jump in on your Athena point too, because it's Athena, not Athena. She made a point of discussing that because again, this you have to rely on folks to know this in the comic, but in the comic, when she came to Earth after hanging with the goddess Athena, she said, "Hey, I'm going to represent you on the planet Earth, and I will just be Athena." And because within the Eternals Pantheos, I am a warrior, and that's what I do. All right. Okay. Hold on. Dr. Liz is back. We were just going into why she was Thena and not Athena. But go on, Dr. Liz. Where were you?
No, but Thena and Athena have been interchangeable depending on if you're talking about the Roman gods or versus the Greek gods. But
no, I'm talking about this. I'm talking about this character in particular. How
I understand
the Eternals, when she came to Earth, they had already been introduced to the the Greek gods of Olympus, and as an homage or to show respect for Athena, she said, "I will be Thena."
I hear
and
you.
That's why she said, I'm gonna drop
and
A.
all
So
of these,
it's not the same.
I understand that, but all of these people believe that they were supposed to be in Olympus.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that this is not like there hasn't been very many, and the closest thing I think is successful when it comes to dealing with these kind of remnants is Xena the Warrior Princess. Like I can't think of anything that has been really successful. And I in my brainstorm, I'm thinking, okay, well, you know why it's not successful? Because it's complicated. And the only thing that people will be like, okay, I know this, I understand it, is Zeus, and maybe Hades and Poseidon. After that, you get into the weeds because everybody had kids with everybody. It's like, why would you go here?
Right.
So that's part one of my other issue. Then I really get into, I was like, okay, so Thanos. So are we trying to say that because Avengers came back in the end game and brought everyone back, is the thing that sped this all up, and we're supposed to now be like, Thanos wasn't that bad of a guy? Is that what we're supposed to be here for?
I didn't get that. But okay.
I mean, otherwise this movie makes no sense. Like I was, and that's another issue that we've all criticized DC over is, why would you make a movie that has barely any interconnection with anything, and I'm supposed to be okay with this?
Well, I think this was a kickoff.
The characters throughout comic history until at a certain point in modern times, when the Eternals said, you know what, fuck it, we're going to go in and introduce ourselves to the world. Even in the comic, they spent millennia behind the scenes just moving life forward. It's the story that you told about them coming to essentially deal with the deviants after, because at one point deviants had overrun the planet Earth. They sent the Celestials. I mean, the Celestials say, you know what, I'm gonna send the Eternals down there. You guys deal with them. Became a huge fight. And the Eternals eventually they split. You had some who left and went to Saturn, some who left and went to Mars. They were going all over the place. Even at one point they tried to land on the Kree planet. Mm-hmm. So I'm saying, if they would have made this a series, wow, they could have actually done a lot of what they wanted to. Which again, for me, the biggest flaw in this film is that there's so much story that's so deep in the weeds. When you read what she's talking about, you go, wow, this is dope. If you go into it like, I'm just going in fresh off the boat, don't know nothing about nothing, yeah, this shit's gonna be hella confusing to you, because it's tough, because you don't know what she's talking about. It's like, I don't know what you're saying, sis. I don't know what you're saying.
I don't feel like
half the people don't know who the Black Knight is. Half the people don't know.
That's fair.
Even the history of the Eternals, like the creation of Thanos, the creation of all these characters that were created by some sentient machine that the Eternals that the Celestials put down, in various planets that were just pumping these things out, and every time they were killed, you bring them right back. I'm gonna tell you a lot of weird shit.
But I'm gonna tell you that the only saving grace for me is probably the thing that you guys probably hate the worst, is the jokes from the Indian side to kick. I was like, well, at least I'm laughing.
He was funny.
Because otherwise I was like, what? And I know that this may, what's so frustrating is because Marvel has done such a great job at trying to tell these intricate stories and build up such a huge fan base. Mm-hmm. And to be like, okay, well, we did it here, so let's take this huge, big turn. And it leads us to the question, okay, so why even bring up the Avengers? Like, why did you say you didn't want to why didn't you protect Thanos or whatever? Or why didn't you help the world? Okay, fine. But then you're going to it's going to have the same comeback. like we had with Aquaman.
But they didn't know
where
that.
were the
Remember.
Avengers? No, but where
Remember,
were the
they didn't
Avengers?
know.
If earthquakes are happening around the world,
Avengers
It
are already
happened one
broken up.
time.
The Avengers are already broken up, though.
Yeah, and it
yeah,
happened
but
one
none
time.
of them. But we know for a fact that at least Wakanda is keeping track on things that are happening in the world. We know that for a fact.
No,
Yeah,
We-
but
Black
Wakanda
Widow
only,
was.
Come
but
on.
Wakanda only cares about Wakanda right now because they're trying to rebuild
Yeah.
after what happened.
And,
They're
and
doing
who's
their own
I
thing.
find it very.
and who's going to
You
swing
mean to
back
tell me-
Spider-Man?
You mean okay? So Doctor Strange wouldn't been
We don't.
concerned?
Doctor
We don't know.
Strange would have been where though?
Yeah.
Where is it that you wanted them to go? Because the things that were happening that the Eternals were fighting and facing off
The
again,
world was
the
going
one
to
the one fight
kaput.
that you saw in London. And that was dismissed. You know, yeah, the one kid was like, yeah, I saw you look like Superman. People for anything, the Avengers were like, you know, hey, here's a new superhero out here. If they saw that, other than that, they were
was all secret,
earthquakes.
yeah.
They were earthquakes to everyone. They weren't out in the public battling. When they went to go find Druig, he was in South America in a forest. When they went to go find Ajax, she was living on a ranch. You know,
Y'all give
they
so
were
much
all
grace.
living isolated lives. So
Y'all give so
nothing
much
that we
grace to
saw
MCU
happened
and not to DC.
But
no,
go back
because
to-
Yeah, you do.
to go
Yeah,
back
you
to
do.
Doctor
those
Strange,
critiques are not solid. When you
Oh,
have
okay.
an Aquaman, you have a homeboy Ocean Master launching an entire ocean full of ships onto a shore. That's different. Then you should say, where the hell was everyone at? This an earthquake? You know how you dismiss that? The exact same way that Okoye dismissed the earthquake in the center of the damn Mediterranean
If
Sea or
there's
whatever.
earthquakes
She
that are
said, "You know
happening
what?
all over the world
Yeah,
at the
but
same
Liz,
time,
Liz, I got
there's
that.
something that people are
But the
going to pop
earthquake.
up and say, "What the hell is happening?" And
But
we
the
have had
earthquake.
we have had a track record of people tracking things, and we saw that with Black Widow. I know Black Widow's dead, but we saw Black Widow. Thank you, Gavin.
Man, look.
We saw
Gavin,
Black Widow
start with me.
tracking things.
Start with me.
You cannot tell me that there's nobody
sure there is.
in
Sure we can.
existence that is tracking anything. And I'm saying that you cannot have these world-ending events and people will be like, yeah,
It
they're
was-
good.
Wait,
It was an
Deuces.
earthquake. It was an
How would they
earthquake
know
in
it was a
Endgame.
world-ending event?
Yeah.
I mean,
It was an
Nobody
earthquake.
inquires.
It
But
was
you
an
would
earthquake
give this
in
criticism
Endgame.
if it was a DC movie.
It was an
DC's
earthquake
trash.
in Endgame, and they did nothing then.
Wait, which
It was-
earthquake in
I didn't-
Endgame?
Remember when she's like, "There's an
Remember?
earthquake under the ocean," when they're all having the
Oh.
little team meeting? It
Well,
was
but under the ocean is different. They didn't say it was a tsunami that wiped out.
well, that's what I'm saying. It was an earthquake in Endgame, and they still did nothing. It was
Okay,
an
but here's-
earthquake in Eternals, and they
but-
still did nothing.
But let's be clear. The snap happened 7 days ago. The unsnap happened 7 days ago. You can't tell me half the world's population blinking back into existence, and then there's a world-shaking earthquake in places across the country, active volcanoes, and then 700,000 foot spires that look vaguely
Well-
humanoid coming out of the ocean. It's a
At that
strange,
point-
No,
it's a
I got
strange
that.
rock
Yeah.
formation. That's
Thank
coming out
you.
of
at the end of the
Um,
movie, after
no,
everything's done
Yeah,
with, yes.
after everything's done
Yeah,
with it, we
but
don't get
that
a
all happened
resolution
on
after
that day. If
Okay.
that would have happened across a
Okay.
couple days, yeah, but that happened in a day.
Not even
And
a
at
day,
that
like a
point,
couple
which
hours.
Avenger are you saying is going to go investigate this? Thor and them.
I'm
are
not
out
saying
by
they had to
space.
investigate. They could have
Who-
had like
who's
a
investigating?
screen. I don't know. But I'm saying that it makes no sense that you're going to tell me that there are these other people out here and you're not going to have it's not going to be on anybody's radar when we clearly know in Endgame that it was all that they used to have little meetings that said, let's
Yes.
see what's
No,
happening in the
obviously they're not
world.
having those
During
meetings
the
anymore.
blip.
Guess
Oh,
what?
during
It
the blip,
happened.
they
It
stopped
happened in a
having
day.
those.
We
Okay,
don't
okay,
know.
whatever.
I
Cool.
get that they didn't show it, but we don't know
Okay.
what happened. Several events have happened throughout the MCU's history, whether it was the damn Stark Expo where you didn't see any other Avengers, where you had Cap, dropping a damn helicarrier in DC. No other Avengers really showed up. Things happen. Shit happens, and every single time, every Avenger doesn't join up. I got that.
I'm
Sokovia,
fine.
they lifted a damn planet up that or a city up that was about to come down and blast the damn planet to dust. Shit happens in a day, and guess what they do? We see what happens afterwards.
All the Avengers were there for that.
Yeah,
for those Avengers.
Yeah. Listen, I don't mind the idea.
Black Panther was in there.
I don't mind. He was doing.
He was watching
stuff. Yeah, he was watching with the Watcher. I don't mind the idea that everything doesn't have to have bleed over. My problem is you had Phastos' son see that Icarus was doing shit on YouTube. And you're telling me nobody, whatever remnants of S.H.I.E.L.D. still exists, nobody who is still present, alive, Avenger, none of these people, because remember.
You mean S.H.I.E.L.D. in outer space?
What?
You mean S.H.I.E.L.D. in outer
But you
space?
do, but hold on. They did that for Shang-Chi. They found Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi happened later.
But it's 7 days after the unsnap. You have Professor.
No, it's not.
Hulk, you've got it. Yes, it is, because she says the thing that
7
started
days.
the emergence.
Let's say 7 days.
She says the thing that started the emergence was all of those souls coming back. And how long do we have? That's what Icarus says. She says 7 days, and that was 6 days earlier. That's what the title card was on that segment. So we are 7 days after the snap. Professor Hulk is there. Ant-Man is there. Wanda is still not completely loopy because WandaVision hasn't even happened yet. This is the first week after the unsnap. And I agree with Liz. It is improbable in the extreme that the manifestation of a superhero of Icarus's capabilities would be noticed by some kid in Evanston, but not raised to the level of.
Maybe he was noticed.
No, to your point though, 7 days after the snap, we saw what was happening. A couple days after the snap in WandaVision, shit was not back together.
Doctor Strange is still there.
I don't know if this takes place. I know the 7 days.
Doctor Strange is there.
Doctor Strange.
Spider-Man is still there. He went back to high school.
So wait, so they're going to Spider-Man is going to Australia? Spider-Man is who besides Doctor Strange?
Spider-Man has a jet. What are you talking about?
He even said he wants to be his neighborhood
Spider-Man's
friend.
not jumping on his jet.
Stop it. Stop.
Does he not have access to the jet?
He wouldn't do that. He stays in his own neighborhood.
Doctor Strange has a sling ring.
And Doctor Strange possibly, after the damn hand comes up in the middle ocean, you know what? Maybe that's an end credit scene they could have put in there. Maybe
they should have.
But you know what Doctor Strange could have also been doing? He could have been dealing with Doctor Strange shit.
Okay,
which is what we'll probably see in Doctor Strange 2.
Which was what?
Well, we're gonna find out, aren't we?
We're gonna find out because Doctor Strange 2 is coming.
You'd think Baron Mordo might have been trying to take advantage of something once he saw these little blippy creatures.
He's still fucking with Oliver Platt, so
and somehow, if I hear another plot line, and this is why I don't think women are going to end up being directors anymore.
Okay,
for a long time in the MCU.
Oh, here we go.
Real quick.
Oh, absolutely. Love conquers all. Is that what we're gonna do? And I'm the one with the, even though I'm the woman on the panel, but the fact that you gonna have love conquers all kind of theme again. How many movies do we need to have? Superhero movies where they deserve to be safe because they love.
It's a superhero movie.
Hold on.
They recycle ideas all the time.
Real fast, the timetable.
He loved her so much he killed himself.
Here's the thing: the time.
No. He killed himself because of his betrayal. He killed himself because of the betrayal of the one that he loved.
He killed himself because of Chloe Zhao's shitty script.
Guys,
thank you.
The timeline for Eternals is not 7 days after the snap. It's around the same time as Far From Home is happening. So 8 months after the events of Endgame.
Okay, wait a second. Hold on.
So
you mean that Spider-Man was in London? Spider-Man was in London.
Well, not only
That's
that.
That's what you're saying. So Icarus is over there, and Spider-Man's up the street.
Was in London.
What the fuck is Spider-Man gonna do when it gets Icarus?
So there's that, but then also that puts you around the same time of everything happened with these whole fake of what is it? The elementals.
So this would come up.
So they could have even more. It seems
other
like
people were probably doing other shit. That's probably what's going on.
He's up the street.
He's not up the street.
What the fuck is Spider-Man gonna do against
Icarus?
Icarus?
Liz,
It's
he was
Icarus.
busy getting his ass handed to him by Mysterio. He's not jumping on a jet to go and fight someone he doesn't know. That's not
fight
what
a
that's
god,
not the Spider-Man
basically.
we've met thus far.
And we know where he ends up. We know where he ends up after the end of Far From Home, back in New York, getting ratted out.
And he has a jet.
Okay, what is a jet
And he
gonna do
has
against
Stark.
Icarus?
He
Laser
has
beams.
Stark.
Hello.
No, but at the time that the laser beam,
Liz,
I'm
that jet
talking
got
about that the
destroyed
fight
in Far From Home.
Yeah, the jet does get destroyed from Far From Home.
He is over Stark. He has the whole Stark glasses.
No, but by
and
the end of Far From Home, though, he doesn't have control.
He's not fucking with Icarus. Stop it. No.
Okay,
no.
let's
not saying he fights
Ryan.
Okay, but wait, Tom, before you go there,
within Icarus.
And Liz, but hold on real quick, but because I don't want us to go 2 hours on this. Ryan, who we
he hasn't even said his piece yet. That was all Liz.
That was me.
Yeah,
because they didn't make sense.
Okay, go Ryan.
Let's hear it,
okay,
please,
so
Lord,
look, so Tom called me last night, and he was making some valid points. So I went to the theater with my head held low. I was like, dude, this movie's gonna
He
suck.
liked this bullshit.
And I was just
He
like,
sure
dude,
did.
what is this trash gonna be? So I'm watching the movie and I'm watching it. I'm like, so when am I gonna start hating this movie? And you know what? I never did.
Never. There's no hate point. There's no point to hate.
Look,
there's no point to hate the film. I mean, look, you can block Ryan out all you want. I mean, it's there's again, and it's fine if you and Liz walked away from this film feeling the way that I felt about Shang-Chi. It's fair. It's like one of those things where you all went into this film thinking one thing. I went into it thinking something else. Ryan did. Anthony.
I can't even say my piece.
Whatever.
But
I'm going, Ryan.
I'm going to quote somebody else. Allow me the latitude of completion. Okay, thank you. So, as I was saying, like, I thought the movie was decent. I liked the story, I liked the costumes, I liked the betrayal. The betrayal threw me off. I liked the second end credit scene. It made sense to me. Okay, I just enjoyed the movie. I liked the story. I don't know. I mean, I thought I was gonna hate it. I thought because usually Tom and I agree on this. So I was going in there thinking like I was gonna hate it, but I didn't. And the betrayal really threw me off. I was like, Icarus, you dirty motherfucker. It threw me off, man. I liked it.
Was anybody confused? Because this is something that I didn't actually see and I didn't completely understand it. I had no idea that Thena was on the ship with Druig and Makari. I was like, why didn't she get snatched up when Arishem pulled up the other three? And I didn't even understand why Bollywood guy, he didn't even betray anybody.
He just left. Yeah.
He
basically supported Icarus.
The reason he didn't grab up Thena is because of her suffering from the madism or whatever you want to call it, but her mind was already fractured.
But she was on the reason she didn't get snatched up because she was on the ship. She wasn't on the planet.
Mm-hmm. No, but when he was on at the very end.
Oh, got you.
Yeah, you find out that she was actually swooped away with the other two. They made it seem as though it was just Makari and Druig that were headed off into space to do whatever the fuck it was that they were going to do. And then you find out, Thena also had a boarding pass.
I just don't understand what am I supposed to hate about this movie? It just made sense to me. I mean, just explain it to me because it's not like the greatest movie ever. It's not the greatest movie ever.
That's a good way to put it.
But it's not even close to the worst Marvel movie.
Thor
2 is worse. Captain Marvel is worse.
That is a lie.
Well, for you, it's a lie. For me, it's the truth.
That is a lie. I mean, Captain Marvel is entertaining.
Well,
this is not entertaining. 2.5
Liz likes
hour
and fight movie. I don't know.
Yeah, because how they did Sam Jackson was real great.
I mean, it's just it's interesting.
I will say that it's she's a better Flash. Her speeding skills. I thought that was pretty cool.
Her speed. I will give her this. I thought her takedown of Icarus, while somewhat improbable, I thought it was a great action sequence.
Wow.
It was great, yeah.
And I will give credit to Fastos for not being nearly as useless and annoying as I anticipated him being.
See, he wasn't
he actually.
And the brother lived.
Okay,
Brother
the
lived.
the only character that annoyed me was King Joe's, whatever his hell his name is, the guy with the camera. King Joe, that annoyed me. It's like, get the fuck out of here. I wanted him to die. I wanted him to get shanked with a rusty knife.
Without him, it would be even drier.
No, we had King Joe. King Joe was funny.
That's
enough for me. That's enough. Dude, the other guy wasn't funny at all. I mean, it's just like, just get out of here. He annoyed me.
And it's good in 3D. I did see this in 3D. I thought it was a movie that was good enough to see in 3D if you have to see it once.
Yeah. Can we talk about the infinite scene?
But again, this film also was a great world builder. This film was great because when you look at the films that they're setting up, this is the first film that for me at least takes us into the possibilities of a whole bunch of stuff happening. You know, they mentioned the power cosmic in this. They're traveling off into space. You got to me, I love seeing Pip Patrol and Star Fox, aka Eros. I love seeing that they're going off
that
into
shitty
space.
That shitty CGI.
To me, this goes well on Dolby. Shit, he looked clean to me.
Let's talk about the second. Scene.
Yep.
Because that's what I want to get into. Because everybody, spoiler alert, motherfucker's Blade is coming.
Yep.
And he comes for that ass. He coming for that ass.
Look, the fact that they dropped his voice in there and had me just scratching my head like, whose deep ass black voice is that talking? Because it's not Nick Fury. I immediately went and looked that up, and when I found out that was Blade who's talking to him, who's like, "Are you sure you want to do that, Whitmore?" When you look at how Dane Whitmore just and his story and his connection to the Avengers and Blade, you know, obviously looking for, you know, a straight devil pig sticker, you know, and probably was hunting down the Ebony Blade. That shit was.
I like how they built this character. I like that character. I like.
And isn't it going to be a series, right? It's a series, right? Which is
Blade.
No, Blade is a film.
No.
Blade's a movie.
No, not Blade. I'm talking about Black Knight.
I don't know.
I don't think they're doing anything. I don't think they're doing anything for Black Knight. Moon Knight is.
But the Black Knight, I like how they didn't rush it too much. It's kind of slowly building. There's a lot of world building stuff that's happening in this movie, which I enjoyed. I know y'all gonna hate me. Tom, I'm sorry. Liz, not so much. Hey, but Twala and I, we agree.
Yeah.
That's rare.
Look, it's a kickoff film.
It is rare, actually.
It's a kickoff film for expanding the MCU.
Exactly.
Now it's going greater now into space and more of the, I guess, superhero. I mean,
this opens up the realm for Galactus to come. This gives us, Fantastic Four, everything.
But the problem I have with that premise is that you basically established, thanks to the opening title, that Arishem is hands above Galactus. Arishem
that's weird.
The Infinity Stones. He created the universe, or maybe the multiverse, and you've now set him up as a vengeful god at the end of this movie, which feels very disconnected from everything else.
But is he?
Half the heroes have been taken with him, and the other half are off planet in space.
But is he the only Celestial, though?
No, he isn't. No, we've
not.
already seen the decapitated Celestial head that's nowhere. We know that there's a whole host of different Celestials. Yeah. So, but he's the King Celestial. He's the main one.
Head on down to the South Pacific. There's one hanging out there.
Yeah, Tiamat.
Yeah,
and
the AKA the sleeping Celestial. But when you look at Galactus, who's a straight cosmic being who was there at what was it, the destruction of one universe, which kicked off the Big Bang for all that. Look, when Galactus comes, it's a whole nother problem. And I just like the fact that they set the stage for such magnitude with this film. And again, this film is not going to be for everyone. I have no doubts about that. I understand the critiques from it. A lot of the critiques that I read now, I look back and I'm like, yeah, I get why you didn't dig this film. Most of the critiques are written by people who literally have no idea what was going on.
Dude,
I will say that that's a great
because of this movie.
There's definitely will be, right? Yes. But I will say that I appreciate the diversity.
Yes.
Even though I do know that I already feel the backlash of black gays, because there is I don't understand why they, why there is such a hesitation to have two Black gay males together instead of you having a Black gay male and then someone else, because that is like a huge thing.
You know why?
I know, but I'm just saying
he's a POC. He was a Latino.
I know that, but if you listen to a lot of the Black gay males on YouTube, bloggers, they always are asking for, we want representation, but we date each other. Like, we don't always have to be seen with someone outside. And if you look at the track record of every time they bring it, and they made such a big deal of bringing in a gay character, and you see all these superhero shows that have a Black gay character, they always have them with someone outside of their race. They don't have them with someone in their race. So I already can see the thanks but no thanks header amongst Black gays for this.
I mean, but it's tough because this was such a humongous leap for Disney and for the MCU to say, you know what, we'll go on and do this. We'll step out front in this and
but
bridge
they made
this,
it ambiguous.
And I mean, and I get it. But it's got. I just think just on in the room where they're all sitting around and throwing stories up, and they wanted to say, hey man, if we are going to have this huge group of heroes, this is our opportunity to give equal representation for everybody. It doesn't have to be just a singular raced group of superheroes, because we're going to catch shit if we do that. We need to finally say, fuck it, man, let's just go all out, make this United Nations of fucking superheroes and give representation again. The fact that they're all with different dialects, and I grew up, I'm like, dude, you've been around for 1,000,000 years. You should not be speaking with an Indian accent, but whatever. That was them saying, we want to do our best to give equal opportunity.
Why can't they all know how to sign? So 7,000 years, and no one thinks that they should be signing consistently with the young lady who's deaf.
But didn't they all pretty much?
That's just rude.
Didn't they all kind of really understand her though? I didn't get the impression that they didn't know.
They all understood her, but they didn't talk to her in her language.
Okay, but Liz, you're completely sidestepping the fact that Ajax should have been able to repair her hearing because her.
But Tom,
but Ajax made her that way. That's why she didn't change her.
But and again, why? Ajax had a whole different.
How is that efficient?
Well, I'm gonna say, Tom, before you step in it,
she was on her own shit.
Before you step in it, that is a hot button. Well, I'm telling you. That is a hot button issue in the deaf community.
I get it. I absolutely get it. But you don't introduce a character who is created to be a perfect representation. Well, first of all, it's a robot. According to Chloe Zhao, they're biological looking robots. And so you don't.
Tom, isn't that
why was she made that way? So she can fit in with society. The same reason why they made Sprite a little girl, so they can fit in with society. That's why they were made that way.
So only Sprite was supposed to fit in. All of them were eternally
they were fit in
and hot.
Yeah.
So how does that not
different
fit in?
places for doing different things? That's why.
I don't know.
And
again, all of them knew how to sign language. So
all of the Eternals were given different abilities, different powers, and they all had a different purpose for why they were doing what they were doing. It's just how they were made. They were made. And
the Lord works in mysterious ways.
Only was it like every 2,500 years or so. I can't remember what it is, but every certain amount of time they will decide, I want to change. I want to look different. I want to be different. And it did happen. When we come into this story, it's this iteration of these characters, because we're brought in right when it's like, boom, hey, we don't know if we're coming in right after the last time they died. We don't know. All we know is they're back. And boom, and Ajax is like, all right, hey, game is on, everybody. Game is on. We're back on this new planet. Here we go.
I'm just looking forward to Spider-Man. I'm over this.
Is it time for us to do
matter changing? You're shooting lasers. You're strong. You're
how do they fall or something? Or
oh yeah, okay. Look.
I can't even do the harder they fall. I actually do have to myself
Yes.
Before you guys hop into that, I actually have to leave, and I didn't see what Harder They Fall, so I'm not going to be a contributor for that section anyway. But what I will do, Tawala, for you, because you're going to be editing this anyway, I will give you my sign off that you can just throw in.
Please do.
Okay.
Please do.
Tom, I will add, like, before you go though, make sure you change the batteries in the fire alarm that keeps going off. And make sure you do that.
God, yes. Okay. So, so I will say,
that was a good one.
I'm trying to decide which suit I'm gonna be in.
Not gonna lie, let's see if I can get mine. There it is. Pull the battery out of that thing.
So,
oh boy,
I live life dangerously.
Here's
Okay,
my,
hold on.
Just put some Jiffy Pop on there, so if it gets too hot, you'll know it's time for you to leave the house.
So,
got it. In honor of Angelina Jolie,
who's barely in the movie?
She's fine. Go, brother.
Okay.
Say it, brother.
you have to let me do my thing, and you can't say anything.
Okay,
right?
I'm
'Cause
sorry.
It's my thing.
How you gonna blame it on me? He said something too.
It's both of you all. Here we go. Where is my Fina suit? And I'm out.
Many thanks, Brother Cunningham. All right, so before we straight burn the whole entire show on the Eternals, The Harder They Fall for me was one of the most epic viewings I have had in a long time. I am a big fan of Westerns. I really, really am. Love Westerns, and I didn't think I was going to see something ever in my life that would be able to surpass Tombstone and The Unforgiven. Those to me are my top two.
Not even Posse? You didn't like Posse?
No, I like Posse. I like
Posse was
Posse a
good.
lot, but for me, my top two were The Unforgiven. Just to me, that story was cold-blooded. I love that story, and of course, Tombstone. This film, and not just because of the black cast, but the acting, the story, the action, everything about this film was right as rain. I love The Harder They Fall. Dr. Liz, from a historical perspective, the fact that they actually say, we are going to introduce you all to all of these legendary, real, blacks who existed in the Old West, who were not slaves, who were carrying guns, who were bucking folks down. What was your take on The Harder They Fall?
Okay, so let me pause on that, because one of the issues, and it's funny because a lot of the scholarship that's beginning to start coming out is when people were moving west, and especially before slavery was over, and there's a lot more that hasn't been talked about, how many slaves were leaving and running away to go west and finding refuge in just the wild. There's now more scholarship coming out and how many slaves escaped to go to Mexico. And there's a really interesting case with Archie Lee in regards to the number of slaves who was a slave who fought for his independence in California. And so these stories of slave or former slaves, or the land owning in the West being with black towns is not an unfamiliar thing. However, there was a little snippet in there that was almost like a throwaway line in regards to why he wanted $50,000 from the town. And what was more fascinating is when they began to want, America was pushing out west and was giving anybody anybody land to come, well, any white person, land, the Homestead Act, come and, you can develop this and you're good and you can take over land. That also meant it was a taking of Native American land, but it was also the taking of black land, blacks who owned property. And there's this conflict between blacks and Native Americans, even though Native Americans also own slaves and blah, blah, blah. But there was also this conflict that people also have to realize is that there was a taking of Native American land, giving it to black land, especially right after, during the Reconstruction period after slavery. So I think all of this comes into this play. But with all that being said, I think I was more fascinated, not just because of the violence, but it led me to think about like how violent the West was, which it was. But my little pet peeve of this, and I can throw it away, so don't get mad at me. The level of accuracy with the guns is like so incorrect. But okay, because the technology at this time, guns were not that accurate. And but I was like, okay, I can throw all that aside and I can say that the acting was well done. This could have been a theater launch, and it would have been a really good theater launch.
Yes.
I would have saw it.
The soundtrack,
is banging.
The score was so good. And first of all, they really were talking about Lauryn Hill, because Lauryn Hill dropped a song in there, and I was like, the score alone was everything to me.
McBain, your thoughts?
I'm gonna say this movie hit close to home for me because my late father loved Westerns. And watching this movie, I got teary-eyed because I just wished I would give anything to watch this movie with my father.
Word,
he would have been so happy. So I knew I was already going to like it. That's the first act when Nat Love kills the guy with the scorpion tattoo on his hand, and he tells the priest, take this body back, you get 5,000. The priest says, well, why can't you do it? And Nat Love goes, because I'm worth 10. I was like, okay. I knew then the movie was going to be hot. I love the first act and I love the final act. There's some stuff in between that was like, nah, it could have been better, but I love the movie. It was great. Like Cherokee Bill, hot, man. Great villain. Great villain. Bill Pickett, which some y'all motherfuckers don't know, but Bill Pickett was the first cowboy. So I was like, Bill Pickett's in this? Okay. Yo, but on the real though, they did Jim dirty. Because fucking Cherokee Bill did Jim dirt when he shot him in the fucking face. As he was counting down. I was like, damn, you a cold motherfucker.
Look, this film was sick, and it was full of cold, ill, deep moments. I mean, to me, just when he first walks in to Stagecoach Mary's bar, and that interaction when she punches him and he like leans back, when he comes up smiling, I was like, what? When he falls, I was like, did she really hit him? The performances in this film were stellar. Anthony, your thoughts on The Harder They Fall?
I'll tell you after I watch it.
Oh, snap. Okay, damn, sorry.
But
her song.
No, I remember seeing the trailer for it, and I was like, yo, this fucking like Tombstone and The Quick and the Dead. Those are my westerns.
Yeah, I got
Quick
you.
And the Dead,
dude. Yeah, I love the women in this movie. For the simple fact that song was great too, but like I didn't feel like they were nowhere near Mary Sue's. They were tough, and I fucking believed it. I believed how fucking tough they were. I was like, yeah, I believe that shit. Get yourself some girl.
This film is getting criticized because because of colorism, and we're in this conversation because forgive me, I don't know names. I'm worse than Twala. But the stagecoach, right? So she's a dark-skinned woman and in real life. And so there's this comment of like, why, and because of the history of Hollywood and doing stuff like this. But at the same token, I mean, I say this with privilege and I get that, so I don't want nobody to eat me up. Because I realize that I'm not dark skinned. I get it. But at the same token, the acting was so well done.
It was.
That,
Look, I love it. I mean, to me, seeing Regina King, like she gave me chills. Her acting was so sick when she shot the damn conductor in the beginning, and Cherokee was like, he could have said nickapoo. He said, I don't care. And anyone else say anything that sound like it's starting like that is going to end up the same way. I was like, I believe the film. There were so many moments in this film where I was like, I don't even know if they're acting anymore. They're just going off.
Dude,
they are just
and
going off right
and
now.
let's not forget about Idris Elba, because that motherfucker, everything he
Ooh.
does is smooth.
You know,
Even
he's
as-
in a Cowboys movie. You know, he's in another Cowboys show, and it's a
Oh, the one on
Urban,
Netflix.
the one, yeah, was it like Concrete Cowboy?
Concrete Cowboy.
Yes.
Now it's a book, and the coolest thing about Concrete Cowboys is that it's loosely based off of the Philadelphia Cowboys.
Mhm.
And at the end of the movie, a lot of the actors in it are actually part of the Philadelphia Cowboys. And at the end, you get to see them talking about their space being gentrified.
Right.
And so it's really cool. But also when you know, Ryan, when you made a comment about the Cowboys, I want to say that High on the Hog on Netflix, I think it's the last episode that spends this time in talking about the origination of the word cowboy, which was slaves who were the ones who took care of the horses. And that was the original term of where cowboys come from. And it's such a good show. And my great grandfather, that's what his job was on the slave plantation in Texas. And so it's that conversation of the, history and, entertainment has really whitewashed the idea of how we believe what the West looked like. And one of it is that, and I think a lot of this Netflix is mostly Netflix right now, is taking the narrative and saying that the West was diverse. It wasn't just white, wasn't just Native American. It was Mexican. It was Asian. It was Black folks. And it's just really fascinating to see this.
Man, I absolutely love it, love it, love it. Please do yourself a favor and watch.
It's violent.
The Harder They Fall.
Oh, sure is.
Don't watch it with your kids.
Don't watch it with the kids.
No, let them watch it. Let them watch
the
it.
hell out of this stuff. Hey, you know what though? Seriously, though, Ryan, my kids can watch it. And I do want them to see it just if it piques their interest about who these people were. Like, when I was a kid, my mom took me to the Bill Pickett Rodeo. And and it still goes on. It's still happening. So do yourself a favor if you can, go check that out. And that kind of like got me into who these actual people were, especially when Posse came out, and I was like, man, they really could have used like some real people, instead of using these characters. Love Posse, I love Silverado. Look, I am a fan of Westerns. Before we get out of here, is there anything that's on the round table? Anthony, what are you watching right now?
Oh, it's gonna be this.
Oh, The Harder They Fall.
The Harder They Fall.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Dr. Liz, what you checking out?
Apple TV.
Of course.
Of course.
Well, she's got to finish it off. They added new content.
They did. I'm struggling with the new. Actually, Foundation is a lot better than when it started, so that's pretty cool. But they started a new show, and I know that we all are going to roll our eyes. And it's with Ice Cube's son, and it's called.
Interesting.
No, but it's a basketball show, and it's based loosely off of Kevin Durant's life.
Yeah, I saw the preview for that. I saw that.
I mean, okay, but I'm gonna say that Apple TV is putting out. Hold on.
I'm not saying nothing.
Quality content with the biggest name stars, and it's like. You are really putting out big name because Will Ferrell has a show coming out next week or this week. And Tom Hanks has another movie out this week.
Finch.
They're putting out some really quality, top-notch actors into their products. It may not be a lot out there, but it's worth the $5 a month.
Oh, give me a password.
I'm not necessarily. Hey,
I will give you the password because it's worth it. It actually is seriously worth it.
Don't put that
Chris Evans show I actually want to watch.
Which one?
The Chris Evans show when he's like a DA or what is he, a cop or something? The son.
That was so good.
I want to watch it.
I love that you've seen it all, Liz.
I know.
Big Bang, what are you checking out?
I need to finish The Expanse. I'm way behind. So that's on my mind right now.
Where are you at on it?
Second episode, baby.
Oh,
Second.
Look, man, you got a lot, man. You got a lot to go.
Season 1.
I got a long
Second
way to go.
episode.
But see,
You
here's
got
the
like-
thing.
You got like a month
If you
before
start
season
catching
6
up,
drops.
yeah, right. 5, 6, and
But I'm
final season
saying
about
to you that
drop
if you
in a
like-
couple weeks.
Yeah, but if you like Expanse, you'll love Foundation.
Okay. See, Liz, that's a tough one because the books were so good. Is it on the books or is it like their own thing?
Look.
Okay. Look, hey,
They
if
really
it's
took their
good,
liberty.
if it's good and it's just based on the books, I'm cool with that. I'm just
There-
curious more.
Look,
than
there's
anything.
more good stuff than bad stuff. Like, I
Okay.
mean, I can list the
Okay.
good stuff on more than one hand, the bad stuff on one hand. So you got to take it for what it is.
Okay. I'm not mad at that. Tomorrow on Netflix, Arcane drops. It is going to be a fantastic animated series. It is based on what is the video game series? I'm blanking on it. Just check out Arcane. Arcane is an animated series that drops on Netflix. First 3 episodes drop, and Genlock on HBO Max. Michael B. Jordan animated series.
Ooh.
Season 2 is out right now. First season was really good, Liz. Check out Genlock. You already got HBO Max. It's working.
I do. By the way, I did watch Colin's Black and
Oh.
White. It may be something people, I mean, it's what people are talking about. So
So
It's a short series.
it's like working in news media. Sometimes when I get to like watching stuff, I want escapism. I don't want to sometimes delve deeper into
that's not
what's
escape.
happening in the world. Yeah, because from the text thread, and you were like, "Yo, Liz, I don't think I can do that. No, not and go outside and not punch somebody." All right. With that, Anthony, take us out, good sir.
Good news, everybody.
McBain.
I have seen everything that has ever happened, ever will happen, ever could happen, and yet, what the hell is this?
Yes, Dr. Liz.
A rock and a hard place is what we call Monday.
Ooh-wee. Excelsior. Yeah. Now I got to figure out how you stop this whole thing. Because, Tom has left me in charge. And I'm like, I don't know how to do all that. All right, here we
You gotta
go.
break out that manual.